Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Set Yourself Free podcast, where we dive deep into stories of resilience, transformation, empowerment, and share tips on achieving emotional freedom. But instead of me talking all about this podcast, I'm going to let my AI tell you more about the podcast.
Are you ready to break free from life's chains? Welcome to the Set Yourself Free podcast, now live in the Metaverse. Discover powerful strategies to overcome challenges, boost your confidence, and unlock your full potential. From conquering the fear of success to managing holiday blues, we've got you covered. Learn how to let go of emotional baggage, practice proactive crisis management, and celebrate yourself with positive affirmations. Join us on this transformative journey and discover the freedom within you. Set yourself free, your guide to a happier, healthier you. Visit our Metaverse studio today and start your liberation.
Yeah. So I'm super excited, guys, to be here with you guys today. So let's jump in and get ready for a really inspiring episode. I want to start by first telling you guys a little bit about myself and what inspired me to start the Set Yourself Free podcast and how this is connected to my personal journey. So I was born and raised in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I came to the U.S. when I was about 15 years old to study. I obtained my bachelor's degree at Jacksonville University, and started to study in the field of substance abuse. I obtained my certification as a certified addiction professional, and then I started working in the field of substance abuse. But those are all the professional things that I achieved in my life. There was also another side of my life that led me to be the person that I am today and to develop this podcast. Those issues really shaped who I am today. I dealt with having a fear of failure, self doubt, abuse, and also being in unhealthy relationships. And those experiences put me in a place where I didn't feel good about myself emotionally. In addition to that, I worked in environments that were really emotionally traumatizing. And those things led to me thinking down about myself. Even though I showed up every day as my best self, nobody else knew what was going on within me. The things within myself that I was saying to myself that I needed to change in order for me to thrive. So this whole journey started with my inner self critic. And that's the voice that you hear in your head that really passes judgment on whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad in your life. And this voice rather was very loud at a point in my life. And it really prevented me from achieving things that I needed to achieve. I always doubted myself. My first experience with my inner self critic started when I failed my chemistry class in college. I was set to be pre-med, to go into pre-med, become a pediatrician, but failing that one class created self-doubt. It was because I was judging myself so hard because I had never failed at anything before. And this was the first time that I experienced a significant failure. So I was really hard on myself. I started saying to myself, you know what, you can't make this. You won't make this. If you can't pass chemistry, how are you going to pass the other classes and they only get harder from here on out? So instead of taking the class over, I decided to quit. I changed my major and I went on to study psychology. After that happened, there was another significant thing that also created self doubt in my life. I had a miscarriage, which was my very first pregnancy. I started to doubt myself then. How could this happen? How did I lose this baby? This is all my fault. I blame myself a lot for that as well. Then I went on at some point, I decided I wanted to go back to school. And because I had a love for the medical field, I decided I was going to study nursing. Well, I went through the classes, I did well, and then comes the part where you have to take the state exam, and I failed that. And that failure came right after I had my miscarriage. So I was dealing with both of those things at the same time. That led to a period of depression in my life that I really struggled to bounce back from. At the same time, I was going through a period of being in an unhealthy relationship at that time as well. So everything kind of felt like I was doing bad. I'm a failure. I'm failing in my relationship. I'm failing in school. I'm failing at motherhood. It was just a downward spiral. And what I fed myself every day was negative thoughts. And this went on for a few years. In addition, as I said, I worked in unhealthy environments as well. So I was getting it. I felt like I was getting all the negativity at every point in my life. I got to the point where I started feeling hopeless and not not worthy. And that was a very difficult and dark place to be. I, I was able to care for everybody else, but I wasn't able to care for myself in the right way. And then I realized on one moment after having an argument with my significant other at the time, I I felt like I was at my lowest low. So at that point, I felt like, know what, why even live anymore? What's the point of living? Everything is going wrong. I can't get ahead. I'm feeling, the pressure everywhere. Maybe I should just end it. Maybe I should just end my life. And in that moment, um, I don't know. The other part of my brain said, you can't do that. You can't give up on life. You have so much more to offer. You've already shown how much you have to offer by the work that you do with your clients. If you were to do this now, how is that going to help them? Not only that, how is that going to help the children that you do have right now? So I had to make a decision to step out of this dark place that I had created for myself. I had to be honest with myself about the trauma that I experienced in my life and make the decision to let go of that trauma and not allow the trauma to rule my life. I started working on myself and I utilize a process that I call the triple P, which is having passion, a positive mindset, and perseverance. And I utilize these three things to let go of the trauma, to redefine my life, and to step into my purpose. That's what I did. I had to find positive people to be around who believed in me and who supported me. I had to make the decision to let go of the past and to take actionable steps in my present to move past all the things that I had been through. And then I had to map out where I wanted to go. So I had to be honest and passionate about change. That's where the passion came in. And to do so, I needed to self reflect. And that self reflection motivated me to change my mindset, which came the second P, which is to have a positive mindset. So I worked on that diligently, saying, saying positive affirmation, practicing self care, building a relationship with my higher power, and actively doing things that made me feel good about myself. And then came the third P, which is perseverance, because challenges are going to come throughout your lifespan. And I understood that. And just because I started to change my life around and I wanted to be free did not mean that I would not going to experience challenges. So how do I stay positive despite the challenges that are taking place in my life? And therein came the consistent interactions with my support network and actively doing things that made me feel good about myself. And I do that continuously. In addition to that, I had to make a decision not to allow my negative self talk to be constantly at play. I had to learn how to refute those thoughts because letting them play consistently eventually became a reality for me. And I didn't want to go back to where I was. I didn't want to go back to feeling low. I didn't want to go back to feeling down. It wasn't a great place for me. So I had to make the decision to actively reframe my thoughts when they pop up. And those thoughts being negative, of course. Anytime a negative thought came up, I had to actively work to stop them, not let them continue to play and go from one negative thought to another, to another, to another. And by the time I'm done, I'm stuck. Being stuck was no longer an option. So once thought comes into my mind and I recognized it as being negative and not doing or benefiting me, instead of allowing it to go to the next negative thought, what I did was pause it and say, okay, Cleo, how is this not true? And how is holding on to this thought going to benefit you? How is holding on to this thought going to keep you on the path that you're going? And if it's not going to keep me, this thought has got to go. And sometimes it's hard to stop your thoughts because they happen automatically. And then when I had trouble with stopping them immediately, I would pick up the phone and call someone and talk to them about it. And remember again where I'm trying to go and where I have been. So the negative thoughts, they still come. I'm not gonna sit here and say that they don't come up and they magically disappear. You're gonna encounter them. But today I choose not to focus on them. And that's how I achieve emotional freedom. So thank you guys for letting me share my story. It was important for me to share this so that you can understand what motivated me to start this podcast because I knew there were other people who have possibly gone through emotional trauma who would like to break free of that emotional trauma. And so there's came the birth of Set Yourself Free podcast. Now, I want to take the time to tell you guys a little bit about what I do in addition to the podcast. I am also a life coach and I provide coaching for women, teaching them how to take actionable steps in order to set themselves free. But here's the deal. I'm going to let my AI tell you a little bit more because she does a lot better job than I do.
Welcome to Set Yourself Free Life Coaching. We guide women who are overwhelmed with being emotionally stuck to get unstuck so they can reach new heights of their full potential. We believe that everyone has the power to create the life they desire, but sometimes we need a little help along the way. That's where we come in. We provide personalized coaching and support to help you overcome your obstacles and achieve your goals. Our coaching program is based on the principles of positive thinking and self-empowerment. We believe that by changing your mindset, you can change your life. We will teach you how to identify and challenge your negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones. We will also help you develop a strong sense of self-worth and confidence. Together, we will create a personalized plan to help you reach your goals. We will work with you on your specific challenges and provide you with the support and motivation you need to succeed. If you are ready to break free from the past and create the life you deserve, then contact us today. We would be honored to help you on your journey.
Yes. Thank you, AI. She did an amazing job. She did a much better job than I did. But as we move along, I want to say to anyone who's listening out there, you're gonna face challenges and obstacles in life, and there's gonna become a time where you could feel like you're not there. You're not doing your best. Listen, you can overcome this. You can work through this. Okay? So with that being said, I am going to open up the floor for anyone who has any questions related to what I'm saying. Anyone have any questions? Sure, you are most welcome. I can tell you it's not easy to work through emotional baggage, but it's not impossible. It's something that you can absolutely do. Sometimes we feel like there's no way out because we actually don't know what steps to take to set ourselves free. And that's where I come in, right? I work with individuals to help them set themselves free. Currently, in my full-time profession, I work with individuals that have substance abuse issues, and I help them to set themselves free from their alcohol use or drug use. Uh, in I also work to provide support to individuals as well. I am co-founder of a support group called Empowered. We meet every Sunday to help individuals who are in a medication-assisted program know that they can be in recovery as well. That recovery, there's not just one way to recovery. There's multiple ways to recovery, and your path may be different. That doesn't mean you can't recover. So, like I said, Working through emotional trauma takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. The transformation that I experienced didn't happen overnight. It took time, it took hard work, it took a commitment. Most importantly, and I say this all the time, transformation happens when belief in yourself meets consistent action. So you have to believe in yourself first and foremost, and you have to be willing to take consistent action in order to change your life. Any more questions? Comments? Do I think there's anything that's hard to come back from? Um, I won't say that there's anything that's too hard to come back from as long as you are alive and you're willing to work on yourself. I think everyone has the opportunity to rebuild and to reclaim their life. And as the tagline of this podcast says, we have the ability to reclaim our life and redefine our legacy. And that's what I had to do. I had to reclaim my life. I had to take the time and be willing to do the work on myself to let go of the baggage and the trauma that was weighing me down and I shackled myself to. So it's not impossible to let go of baggage as long as you're willing to do the work. Does that mean that it's no? But you have to be willing to consistently utilize your things. You can't use them today and then don't use them tomorrow. You have to consistently use them. It's the same thing with addiction. You can't choose to say, well, I'm not going to drink today. I'm going to avoid people, places, and things today, but then tomorrow go back to hanging around friends that you know you shouldn't be hanging around. So it's the same thing with emotional freedom. You have to consistently stick with the things that you know is going to support your emotional health. Um, Question says, I think the hardest part is starting. How did you start? Good question. How I started really was when I told you guys about that moment where I think that was the biggest moment in time where I got to such a dark place that I considered, self-harm. I had warning signs before, but I didn't take you notice of them. But when I got to that point where I was contemplating harming myself, then I knew, okay, this is the time for things to change. And also I was tired. I was tired of being depressed. I was tired of beating myself up, being exhausted, working, long hours at work, coming home and not having anything to do with my kids or to myself, and working in an environment where people didn't even appreciate the hard work that you did every day, the sacrifices that you made in order for you to be in their workplace doing their job. Encountering racism in the workplace. Those are some of the things that I had to deal with. And I just got tired of feeling devoid of emotions and not having anything to give to myself. So I knew that at that moment something needed to change. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I got to change. I have goals. I have aspirations. I want to start a business, but I can't start a business this way. I can't help people this way. And so then I sat down and I thought, okay, how do I start this process? And I started with self-reflection, being honest with myself, admitting to myself um that I had made mistakes, that I had made poor decisions, taking responsibility and ownership for where I was in my life and the things that I was saying I couldn't do or I wouldn't do and making excuses. So being completely honest with myself was where I started. And I started with writing. I'm a writer. I like to write. Everybody doesn't like that, but for me, I have to get it out. I do it through poetry. I do it through just writing like in a journal. And that's literally how I started was really writing and being honest with myself and then making the decision to stop my negative thoughts when they came up because I knew that those were like my biggest challenge. Like, that was like my kryptonite. I had to let go of that. So that's really how I started. And then from there I just continued to work on myself. I I continuously perform self reflection. That's something that I do consistently. I never stop doing that and I never stop asking um the people in my support system for help. Yep. Any other questions? I will say this. Not only did I have to work on myself, but I will say, um, professionally, I had some challenges as well, with starting a business. And when you're starting a business and you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna face a lot of challenges as well. And when I started this journey, not only did I have to work on myself and my emotional health, but I had to work on my emotional health as a business owner as well. Because it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get self-doubt when you're starting a business, when things aren't going your way, making excuses. So I had to not only work on myself emotionally to deal with my emotional trauma, but I also had to think about how my own thinking could play a role and impact the success of my business as well. So I constantly have to be doing that self-reflection because I can very easily go back into, oh my gosh, Cleo, you might want to quit this coaching business because it's difficult, you know, going out there, connecting with people, networking. These are all things that were outside of my comfort zone. These were things that I had never done before. And and here I am trying to launch a business and do all these things that are outside of my comfort zone, and sometimes they didn't work. And so how do I keep moving? How do I keep this business going when it's so easy for me to go back into old habits that happened in my personal life and now it's crossing over into my business? Um, yeah, it's something that I have to be consistently aware of every single day for me to stay in my purpose, live in my purpose, maintain the goals that I have for myself. Um, Question was, you guide us through the process? Yes, I do. As your life coach, I will guide you through that process of the triple P's. We start working with passion, and that's basically having that burning desire to make some type of change in your life. It has to start there, right? Like I said, I started with, being tired and sick and tired of how things were going. I had that passion, I had desire and that longing for change because currently how my life was working at that time, it wasn't working for me. So I will guide you through the process, through a workbook that I have. We work through that workbook and you take the steps and it is personalized to each individual because everybody's journey is different. So we adjust it as we go along in your coaching. And then you take those steps and it works as we adjust it for every individual. Yeah. You are most welcome, Amira, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, Kita, and sharing. If we don't have any more questions, I will go ahead and share with you what's upcoming for the Set Yourself Free podcast, and then we will see you next time. So, upcoming on this podcast, what can you expect? As as I said earlier, you're going to hear from lots of individuals who have stories of resilience, transformation, stories of empowerment, sharing tips on how they can achieve or how they achieve emotional freedom. The next podcast episode, we will have Mr. Sean B. Goins on. He will be sharing his story. You guys definitely have to tune in for that. It'll be in 2 weeks, September 21st, same place. Um, you can definitely go to my biz in the box, which is setyourselffree.io, and you join the podcast there live. As soon as you click that button on my biz in the box, you will be able to come right into the podcast studio as you see me right now, and you can interact with me live, and you will be able to interact with my guests live as well and ask them questions. So it's going to be a really informative, engaging podcast. Definitely want to give as much information out there to empower individuals on their life and on their journey. And most importantly, letting you know that you can reclaim your life. You can redefine your legacy. What do you want your life to look like from here on forward? As I say all the time, you're the author of your story. What you have gone through in life so far is part of this book. Now we can make changes to write the rest of the book. And let me tell you guys, it is so easy to join and me in the Metaverse studio. It's really easy. You don't have to have a VR headset. Join from your phone. You can join from your laptop. Click the button and you'll be pushed right into the studio. So it's real easy. No need to go out and purchase a VR headset. Join from your phone, laptop, computer, and all you got to do is click a button and come right into space. So, with that being said, I want to thank everyone for being here with me today on the Set Yourself podcast. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you all. Thank you for the questions. And everyone, have a great day.
Are you ready to break free from life's chains? Welcome to the Set Yourself Free podcast, now live in the Metaverse. Discover powerful strategies to overcome challenges, boost your confidence, and unlock your full potential. From conquering the fear of success to managing holiday blues, we've got you covered. Learn how to let go of emotional baggage, practice proactive crisis management, and celebrate yourself with positive affirmations. Join us on this transformative journey and discover the freedom within you. Set yourself free, your guide to a happier, healthier you. Visit our Metaverse studio today and start your liberation.